Hey, good evening. Hope everyone's doing okay tonight. It is Monday, the 12th of August, 2019. I am Jayhawk, and you'll notice there's an empty space right here. That's because Lori will be here shortly. Yes, she is going to join us for this class, and I am so glad. She just pulled into the driveway after a long day of work, so we're going to give her a minute. In the meantime, little Valor for me here. Put a drop on my fingertip there, or two. Love Valor on the brainstem. That is just the best. Love that blend. That is a fantastic oil blend, full of all kinds of good stuff for you. And it's my liquid courage. It's my courage in a bottle. So yeah, my courage in a bottle used to be something else, but that was years ago. I've switched to Valor now. So got that on the brainstem. Next thing I put on is White Angelica. White Angelica is a fantastic smelling blend. Put a little of that on my fingertip. And I like putting that on my forehead and on my temples, on the crown of my head. You know, does this mean anything? Well, for some people it does. For others, some people think it's a bunch of hooey. I don't. You know, hooey, that's a technical term, by the way. No, I believe it gives me a feeling of security. White Angelica is one of the first oils I had a major emotional experience with, and it was just a wonderful experience. And that running water you hear is Lori. Lori's home.
I'll be joining you soon.
Good, good. So now that I've got my oils on, I like to sniff. I love the way White Angelica and Valor smell together as well. So not only do I have those two oils on, I've got a diffuser going that has lemongrass and bergamot in it. So that smells nice because I'm trying to get rid of the poached egg aroma of what I had for dinner. And I don't think I've had the diffuser on long enough for Lori to not notice the poached egg aroma. So let's start off with this disclaimer. We have to say this at the beginning of every class. This information is not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The information represents what we, independent distributors of Young Living essential oils, have chosen to do to take charge of our own personal health, that of our family, and also of our cat. And these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Products mentioned in this class are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. If you are pregnant, nursing, taking medication, or have a medical condition, consult your physician before using these products. And everybody breathe. That's a long paragraph, but it's what we say before our live classes. And it's because we don't want to say anything. 7 o'clock. Lori's creepy computer voice. It is 7 o'clock. All right. So we don't want to say anything that is misleading. We don't want to say anything that goes against what the FDA regulations are for essential oils. Now, there are some companies out there, and I'm afraid to say there are also some Young Living members out there who push the envelope. And they say things like cure, and they say things like treat. Well, we don't do that. We don't do that because the FDA says we aren't supposed to. And we want to play by the rules. Hello, Bobby. How are you today? You know, Lori was just here, and then she disappeared again. She's going to be coming back in a moment here. So what tonight's class is, session. We're going to call it a session because it's not really a class. There's not going to be a quiz afterwards or anything like that. This is why we chose Young Living as our essential oil company. Not ours, only ours. It belongs to 6 million other people. Young Living is a fantastic company, and as we go through our testimony as to why we chose Young Living, you'll find out why. And hopefully, if you haven't already made that decision, you will come to the same conclusion we did, that Young Living is just the best. It really, really is. Hello, Marcy. I see that you just signed on there. Kelly, I know you're there. And once again, this is like that old romper room. You get the magic mirrors. I see Kelly, I see Bobby, I see Marcy, and we're going to put on our romper stompers and bounce about the room. Isn't that what they used to do? I can't remember. This is what happens when you get old. So we're going to talk about why we got into Young Living, but we have to do a little backstory about this, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Back in 2012 is when this really started, around Thanksgiving time. I've been in relatively good health. I mean, for a guy my size, I mean, yes, I am overweight, but I was in relatively good health. Yeah, I've had a couple ankle surgeries. Yes, I had some, retinal detachments and cataracts. Yeah, I get that. But I was in relatively good health. My doctor was surprised that, you're not diabetic? You're not? You sure? Nope, I'm good. Your cholesterol's not high? Nope, levels are fine. Everything was looking good. Then around Thanksgiving of 2012, I had a stroke. Just out of the blue. Out of the blue. Lori and I were moving. We were moving from our old home to the new one that we just had built, which is what you see around us here. And I picked up a microwave. And back in 2012, the microwave we had was about the size of a battleship and roughly as heavy. So I picked that thing up and I was going to put it in the trunk of the car. Next thing I know, I'm waking up on the floor. Somehow the microwave got in the trunk of the car, but I don't remember putting it there. I blacked out. And like the idiot I am, it's like, that's odd. I think I'll drive myself to urgent care. Yeah. So I did. Drove myself to urgent care, and they looked at me and said, why did you drive here? Why didn't you have someone drive for you? Why didn't you call an ambulance? Do you realize what just happened to you? And they said I had a small stroke. They determined that. So I spent several days in the hospital. My speech was a little slurred. I had one side of my body just, weak. No strength, nothing, coordination gone. Took a little while, took a couple weeks, but, my voice came back just fine. And, the radio station I was working for, they sent flowers, which was very nice. But I think they were thinking, okay, well, Jay's dying, so let's send him flowers. No, I came back anyway. So I thought, okay, everything's fine. They put me on, this blood thinning medicine, and I thought everything would be fine. And just about a month later, Christmas night, 2012, another stroke happened again. I felt myself going weak. I felt my eyes kind of fuzz over. My speech kind of, didn't quite come out the way it was supposed to. And Lori looked at me and just said, are you okay? Our daughter was home from Christmas break from college. So, I'm sorry, winter break. We still call it Christmas break. And she looked at me like, what's happening to Dad? And it was like, okay, into the hospital I go again. So they took me in. Yep, you had another stroke. Gee, thanks. Yeah, I recognize the symptoms from last time, from what I gather. And they just said, okay, we're going to test you for this. They tested me all for all kinds of things. Luckily, it was not a major stroke. But, I had to go through rehab for that and try to get the strength back in my legs. And they also, I got tested for sleep apnea. So I was on a CPAP after that. And then they said, as I was in the hospital, I was just laying there in the hospital and, on those very uncomfortable beds, and they expect you to rest, and you've got 5 machines you're hooked up to, all going beep, beep, ding, beep, wop, making all those noises. And get yourself in here, will you?
No, I'm taking some notes here.
You're taking notes. You know this story.
I know. I'm not taking notes on you.
But she's going to point out where I'm exaggerating, apparently. But, which, trust me, this story is weird enough. I don't need to exaggerate it. But as I was laying in the hospital bed, and this was probably one of those 2 a.m. checkups where they say, oh, I'm sorry, were you sleeping? We need to draw blood. So as the nurse is getting ready to draw blood, she looks at the heart monitor that I'm hooked up to and says, oh my, and there's another, you just AFib. And I said, I didn't tell any lie. No. AFib, atrial fibrillation. That's where the heart has like an extra beat or an irregular heartbeat. I was very fortunate that mine is not consistently like that. Consistently irregular, oxymoron there, but still, I have AFib. So they put me on blood thinners again for not just the stroke, but for the AFib as well. And that's blood thinners for life right there. Okay, fine. Got out of that. Got back to work after a couple weeks, and it was a tough road. It was a very, very tough road because I kept getting sick. I kept falling under that wellness line, and I'd wear out. I'd be really tired. And it was like I was taking at least 1 or 2 sick days each month. And this is not good for a radio career because that kind of needs consistency. So it was really tough. It was very, very tough. You know, having to go into the ER every now and then. It's like, because they told me if you sneeze sideways, come in. Well, there were several times I sneezed sideways, so I went in. And Lori, to her credit, many times she outvoted my stubbornness and said, no, you're going in. I said, no, I'm fine. No, you're going in. So yeah, there were hospital stays, and there were lots of times in the ER and urgent care because of this. And then in 2013, that's when the big one hit. It was late May, and it kind of hit from out of the blue. I was coughing a lot and just, no energy, and I was feeling a little feverish and kind of clammy, and we thought, yeah, we might want to go in. So we went into the emergency room, and they said, it's pneumonia. You've got pneumonia. Okay, fine. Give me some rest, some fluids, and whatever else you need to do. Give me that little, that cocktail bag of fluids and everything. And I thought, okay, everything's going to be fine. I'll be home, probably tonight. If worse, they'll keep me overnight. Well, they did keep me overnight. By about 11:30, they got me up to a room. Lori was told, okay, we'll watch him. You can come in the morning, and he should be fine by morning, kind of thing. They just wanted to monitor me to see if everything was all right. By midnight, had a fever of over 104, chills, shakes, blood pressure dropped really low, oxygen level really low, heart rate really low. Everything my body collapsed. Luckily, the doctors that were on staff at the time, they recognized the signs, and they immediately started treating me for sepsis. Now, if you don't know what sepsis is where your body has an infection, and it gets kind of into the blood and everything, and it goes through your body. So your body is literally poisoning itself. And it's not pretty. It's really not pretty. And when all was said and done, when they were treating me for this, it's like, okay, this is not just sepsis. This is severe sepsis. Now, so sepsis has several stages. And you've got like sepsis, which, granted, on the lower end, still is not a good thing. Then you've got severe sepsis, which has a survival rate of maybe 20%, is what the doctor told me, about 20%. Then you've got organ shutdown. Then after organ shutdown, you've got put a toe tag on it. So here I was with severe sepsis. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, I feel horrible. Please shoot me. And Lori wasn't sure what to really do. I mean, when you see your spouse laying in the hospital with tubes in him all over the place, and the doctor's saying, here's what he's got, here's how we're going to treat it, we hope we got it in time. Because if they didn't, it would have been a much longer stay and probably a final stay. So after several days of getting the antibiotic cocktail to knock out the infection, I was sent home. Yeah, we got it. We got the sepsis. You're fine. Yeah, you still got a little bit of pneumonia, but that'll clear up and then you'll be okay. All right, great. Great. Love it. Then your family member, why don't you come in and talk about that?
My family members that thought that you didn't like them because every time there was a family event, you were sick, and they thought you couldn't be sick that much.
I was thinking more about the family member who said, hey, how about you try these essential oils?
Oh,
Yeah.
That family member.
That family member.
Yeah.
You can move in here,
I'm trying to organize my thoughts.
You organize your thoughts, okay. Vicki Taylor. If you know Vicki Taylor, please give her a hug for us because we put her through heck. And then some. Because Vicki contacted us and said, hey, I just went through some serious health issues. I used essential oils. I'm doing great. How about you try something with essential oils? Lori and I kind of looked at each other and said, is she serious? It's like, this is your cousin Vicki, right? The same one that I met a couple years ago at a family reunion. Really nice person, seemed to have her head on straight. And then she starts talking about essential oils, and I'm thinking, this isn't supposed to happen for someone from Iowa. They're supposed to be more, feet on the ground and not so. Well, we said, thank you, Vicki, but no, they got it. And then we went back to talking about Vicki behind her back. So, so we just thought, and Vicki was very okay. All right, but I'm here if you need. She was very pleasant about it. I'm sure she was thinking, those stubborn Oregonians. But nonetheless, we thought, okay, things are good. I was starting to get better. Then about a month and a half later, about 6 weeks, wasn't it? About 6 weeks later,
What's that?
boom, it hit again. Severe sepsis, along with pneumonia, just because severe sepsis just didn't seem to be enough. They wanted to toss pneumonia in there again. So back to the ER. Now, the funny thing is, I was feeling really bad. So I drove myself to the ER, and they checked me in and they said, okay, well, you're okay. You just have a little fever. You're all right. They sent me home. As I was driving home, I almost passed out while driving home. I got to the front door of our house. I opened up the front door and just collapsed on the floor. And again, we were very fortunate because our daughter Chelsea was here. And she's like, Papa, what's wrong? And it's like, I feel horrible. Again, it was the severe sepsis and the pneumonia. It wiped me out. I couldn't stand. I couldn't get up on my feet. So Chelsea went to get Lori and say, hey, Dad's out in the entryway. He can't, he's fallen and he can't get up. Okay, tacky line, I know. But nonetheless, I crawled down this hallway, right down here. I crawled down that hallway to our bedroom. And every movement just hurt. My whole body just ached, and it was numb, and it was tingly, and it felt like this was it. And it's like, okay, is this how death is? I don't know. I've never died before. I'm not Hindu. So it was just one of those feelings where every ounce of strength it took to get to the bedroom. And then I couldn't get on the bed. I was so weak, I couldn't get on the bed. Plus, my fever had spiked again, 104 something, I was delusional. I was having what I thought were hallucinations. I don't know if they were real or not, but I was talking to dead relatives. I was talking to my father, who passed away in 1996. And it was like, Dad, don't leave me, Dad. And I heard my father say to me, not yet, not yet. I heard my grandmother sing Amazing Grace to me in a clear voice. My grandmother did not have a clear voice. She had a throat condition that really caused her voice to be kind of scratchy and guttural almost. Wonderful woman, beautiful woman. But her voice finally matched that outer person that I knew. It was just a crystal clear voice that was singing to me. So I was out of it. Lori and Chelsea, I have really no idea what was going through your minds. If it was like, okay, hurry up and call 911 before we lose this guy. Or if you thought I was hallucinating, or if you thought I was really seeing someone, I don't know.
I'm pretty calm in situations like that.
Yeah.
Not the rest of the time, but in situations like that, I'm pretty calm.
Well, you've had practice.
And I think of a little bit in denial, and I knew you needed help, and I knew I couldn't help you.
So, well, you did, because you got 911 called, and the ambulance came. We had to give them directions to the hospital because we live in a rural community. So it's like they put me in the back. It's like, okay, how do you get to the hospital from here? And I'm on tubes and everything, and they've got an IV in me. It's like, okay, just go out this road, take a left, and go on the highway in here. And they got me there to the hospital. And I said, okay, another antibiotic bag, boom, right in. Another air tube, boom, right in. Everything just right away, treating me for sepsis again. And the doctor said, severe sepsis. Second time in a month and a half, severe sepsis. Again, along with pneumonia. Well, after about 3 more days in the hospital, he finally got things back to normal, and they said, okay, you can go home now, but just take it easy. You don't recover overnight from sepsis. It takes a while. It takes weeks to get over sepsis, and severe sepsis even more so. And because it was severe sepsis, there was some damage to my internal organs. There was some damage to my kidneys. There was some damage to my liver, and a little bit of damage to my lungs, but not severe enough that it was like, okay, we have to perform organ transplants or anything like that. But now that's something I have to live with. So we went back to what we thought was going to be our normal lives. We get another note from Vicky, cousin Vicky. Hey, I'm still here. I've got some oils I'd love for you to try. Well, Vicky, we love you. But no, they're sure they got it this time. They're sure everything was done. They got everything. They got the infection. It's fine. I'm going to be fine now. Well, I wasn't. I kept getting sick. I kept having to go to the hospital and the ER because things would happen. My body would start to fail, or my heart would just I'd have I guess you could almost say it felt like a panic attack. But it really wasn't. It was more like my heart was just afibbing a lot because it was working harder to try to keep me alive. And it was just one thing after another. Constantly going to the ER, constantly going to urgent care. I had so many MRIs that Lori didn't need a nightlight if she needed to read. I was right there next to her in bed, just had that glow going. So I was on a first name basis with the people in the MRI department. I mean, I'd go in there, it's like, hey, Jay, how you doing? Usual. It was sad. We can look back at it now and we can laugh at it. But it was really sad. And we thought this is how we're going to have to live our life. As Lori mentioned, I wasn't at any family events because I never felt well enough to go. I missed out on birthdays, on weddings. I missed out on barbecues, and it's not like me to miss a barbecue. not with my svelte figure. So it got to the point where we just thought, this is how we're going to be living. And it wasn't pretty. Then in, well, April 1st, 2015. Third time's the charm, right? Yep, you guessed it. In the hospital again. Pneumonia, severe sepsis. Man, it gets old. Trust me, it gets old. I go in there, no waiting around in the ER this time. I was in there for what, maybe a half hour in the ER and then ICU. They stuck me right into the ICU. They had so many wires on me. You know, they put a heart monitor on me. You know, I had, you know, the EKG thing, so they made sure my heart was going okay and that the rest of my body was doing all right, or at least hanging in there. I had at least 3 IVs going, and then the clincher for me was they ran a wire down my neck to my heart to shock it, just in case it stopped, which they thought was a possibility. That will sober you up quick. I mean, I like to joke around with the doctors and the nurses and stuff because I think it alleviates the stress in the room. If you've got someone who's really sick, like myself when I was really sick, if I could make the doctor smile or laugh a little bit, you know, maybe that would help him to kind of clear his mind and think, okay, you know, let's look at it from this angle, or, you know, maybe find some other way to look at something in order to knock it out. So, you know, I'd love to make jokes with the doctor and stuff. This last time, no, I was not making as many jokes. You know, a couple here and there, but just not as many as before. You know, I would always say, you know, well, my wife's had her eye on this, you know, black dress for some time. And maybe she should go out and get it now. You know, things like that I'd say. And Lori would just kind of shake her head like she does now whenever I make one of those kind of comments. But it was really scary this time because they would not put me in a regular room. They kept me in ICU. Lori was there pretty much the whole time with me, just sitting in a chair, just, you know, doing a lot of this. You know, do you need anything? Are you okay? Are you comfortable? You know, it was difficult for me to respond because, you know, there I am with nothing on but a gown, wires and tubes all over the place, not being able to turn my neck very much because of the wire that's in there. And it scared the daylights out of me. I was really, really scared. Not that I wasn't scared the first 2 times with sepsis, but this last time was really bad. And my sons came in. They came into the room, and they just, the look on their faces were just, you know, it's almost like they paled. Then again, they're pretty pale to begin with, so it's hard to tell. Is that Danish, Dutch? Yeah. But they came in, and the looks on their faces were just, they thought it was the last time. I thought it was the last time. And we kind of, it was almost like we said our goodbyes without saying goodbye. And that was really tough. I do not want to go through that again. I'm sure there's going to be a time when we will, but I really would rather not. Because they were looking at all the wires and you know, the bag of this hanging there, the bag of this hanging there, you know, almost strapped down to the bed kind of thing to keep me from moving around. And, you know, seeing Lori in the chair, just not being her normal effervescent self, because Lori is really, she's a very bubbly personality, and she's a very fun-loving personality, but in that situation, you know, it was almost like, okay, what do we do if he doesn't get out of here? Well, after several days, I did. Doctor told me before we left, you're playing Russian roulette with this. It's not like I really had a choice. I mean, they gave me the antibiotics to knock things out. But he said, one of these times, this is going to kill you, because every time I was going in, my immune system was going down and down and down and down. So my body could not fight off anything. If the kid next door sneezed, I'd get pneumonia. I mean, it was really horrible. So Lori and I we talked about it a little bit, and you really instigated it. I was still like, no, please don't call Vicki.
No, you weren't. I think by then you were ready.
It was just
because
like,
I expected a fight from you.
Most of my fight was gone. But it's just like, I couldn't believe that oils would help. And when we talked about it, we just said, okay, we've tried everything. We've done clinics, we've done specialists, we've done this, we've done that, we've taken that, we've done that. We jumped through all the hoops that they had us jump through, or at least crawled through them. I'm not much for jumping. But we got Vicki. We contacted Vicki and said, okay, what you got? I love that woman. She stuck with us for almost 2 years. For almost 2 years, she did not give up on us. And she said, hey, I've got something that can help support your immune system. Let me send it to you. She did. A few days later, this bottle of Thieves essential oil blend from Young Living arrived in a package with a couple packets of Ningxia Red, which this is Ningxia Red. This is not a packet of Ningxia Red, but this is Ningxia Red. It's a supplement beverage that is as high in antioxidant qualities as well as it helps support every system of the body. Thieves is a huge immune booster because it has cinnamon bark, clove, lemon, eucalyptus, and rosemary essential oils in it. All of those are great immune system boosters. Then she said, put a couple drops on your foot. My foot's not the problem. My problem is my lungs.
We've learned a lot.
And my kidneys and my liver. I mean, that's my problem, not my foot.
We've learned a lot. There is something to the foot.
and Vicki's just like, do it. Just do it. So we did. We did. About 2 weeks later, I go into an immunologist for some blood work to see how I'm doing. Kind of a follow-up thing. So, okay, well, you're not dead yet. That's good. Because they were doing blood work at the hospital while I was there, obviously. That's why they wake you up every 2 hours to say, were you sleeping well? We need blood. So I went to the immunologist, and they did the blood test. And I went back to them after they had done that, like 2 days after that, and they got the results of the test. And the doctor looked at me and said, your levels are low. They are very low. It's like where you're supposed to have an immunoglobulin level of 2 to 217, you're at a 4. But it had to have been lower than that for me to be as sick as I was. That's what the doctor had told me. And there's another immunoglobulin that, the score is a little different. It's like 17 to 470, and I was at 18. But again, he said, for you to be as sick as you were, it had to have been below that 17. So what have you been doing? Because your levels are rising. What have they given you? Well, the doctors, didn't give me anything. It was Vicki. Vicki gave me Thieves. Vicki sent me Ningxia. That's all I had been doing. So when I told the doctor, well, I've been using this essential oil and I've been taking this red supplement drink. And the doctor says, he looks at me, looks at his results, looking, kind of shakes his head and says, whatever works. That was it. That was it. That's all I needed to hear. Things were improving. Things were getting better. I was getting better. Lori was getting better because finally that light at the end of the tunnel wasn't an oncoming train. We had hope. We really did. For the first time in a long time, we had hope. Yeah, I told you I needed some Kleenex for this class. And it felt so good. It felt so wonderful knowing that something's working. Something is helping my body. It's supporting my immune system. I can fight these things, these bugs that come around now. I have a chance. So you better believe that we ordered more Ningxia. I think we ordered like 2 bottles right away, and we said, okay, we're sticking with this.
This has not been a dry house since the day we started drinking Ningxia Red.
No, it hasn't been. But it has been just one positive after another. It really has. With the addition of Ningxia and Thieves, we got the premium starter kit, which at the time came with 10 oils, well, 11, but they had a bonus oil. And you got a diffuser, you got some more samples of Ningxia, which, yeah, we immediately put in the fridge. And we were ready. It's like, okay, we know that Thieves works. We know that Ningxia works. What do the rest of these oils do? Frankincense, lemon, lavender. What do these things do? Pan away, digest, stress away. That's an interesting name. Let's try that one. There were so many that we just tried the whole kit and all the oils in it. And it's like, this is really nice. I'd go back to the doctor for a checkup because with my situation, they wanted to see me quite frequently to make sure I was okay. So I started seeing the doctor and finally said, things are looking pretty good. And then I had a surgery in October. I had a hernia surgery, so it was not related in any way to the severe sepsis and none of the organs that were affected by it. So I had hernia surgery, and of course they have to do a blood draw before that to make sure everything's okay. And they looked at it and they said, your immunoglobulin levels are right up there with a healthy person. That was only after a couple months of taking 4 ounces of Ningxia Red and applying Thieves to my feet. Yes, feet. It worked.
There's a lot of science behind that, but we'll save that for another day.
There really is. But it worked. I don't know how, but it worked. And it was so nice to hear that, your blood levels are where they need to be. Your immune levels are where they need to be. All your levels are where they need to be a healthy person. The only level that wasn't was my body mass index. That one, when they took a look at my body, they said I should be 8'5" if for my weight. But nonetheless, everything else was fine. Cholesterol, fine. White cells, fine. Red cells, fine. Everything, fine. Everything was good. And Lori and I it was like, we got to tell other people about this. We really do. And that's when we made the decision to share our Young Living story with others and to share our oils with others. We know that there are a lot of people who are going through some horrible things. There's a chance these oils can help. I didn't think so at first. I was probably one of the biggest skeptics around. I
would say there's a very good chance that they can help from
Yeah.
what I've seen.
So
We're not the only ones.
that's what convinced me. It was a personal experience. Heaven help you if you have to be convinced by having to go through that yourself. That's why we do what we do, so you don't have to go through that. We want to help you prevent going under the wellness line. We would love to help you stay above the wellness line and not have to go to ER and not have to see your doctor every 3 weeks.
3.
Okay. Yeah, it was more like, 2 or 3 times a month. But that was the lowest part of our lives together. And it was rough. It was rough. We didn't think we were going to make it. I mean, I thought she would. But there were so many times when we thought, the only way I'm getting out of this hospital is a body bag. That's going to be it. My next stop is the morgue. And it was a scary thought. It was a very scary thought. And we finally got desperate enough to open our mind and let the oils in. Vicki, we love you. Thank you so much. And Lori, you want to talk about?
You want me to say a few words?
Yeah, I would love for you to.
Okay, well, first of all, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a pretty conservative, mainstream, normal kind of person who doesn't experiment with all the latest fads. I mean, my wardrobe is about 2 years behind. When there's a new fashion, I take my time to get involved, and I don't jump into to things that aren't pretty common and mainstream. So that's where I was coming from into all of this. The third time Jay was in with sepsis, it was a no-brainer. I mean, to me, it's like we have to try everything. We need to talk to every kind of doctor we can find to figure out, what is causing this to keep happening with you. Immunologists and lung specialists, and there were about 6 of them, I think. And I said, and I think maybe we should talk to Vicki about those essential oils too. I mean, it can't hurt. And maybe there's something to it. So that's what got us started into it. I honestly don't know. We didn't have the interest. We didn't think we had the need. But we've learned a whole lot in 4 years. And after the experience with Jay, and when he responded so well, so quickly with the Ningxia Red and these essential oils, I decided, well, if those are working so well, I couldn't believe that it was just coincidence, that now's the time he's, going to be done with this. It didn't make sense. I thought there must be something to that. So I decided to do a little experimenting myself. And the first one that I wanted to experiment with was peppermint. And I've given Jay permission to nudge me because we need to keep this compliant. And not talk about things that the FDA doesn't want us to talk about. So he's going to nudge me if I start to slip up. But it may seem like I'm talking in code a little bit. But sometimes, you just get this feeling in your head. And, it's when I want to reach for a little, white pill,
little bottle with a child-resistant cap,
rust-colored tablet, or something to help me feel a little better. And I hate taking things, so the less pills I have to swallow, the better. But I heard peppermint can be helpful for times like that, and so I got some peppermint and I put 1 drop on the finger and rubbed it across my head, and it wasn't very long at all. I mean, it wasn't 20 minutes. It was maybe 10 minutes. And I realized I don't have that bad feeling anymore. Well, maybe there's something to this one too. We also know people who've had a real pick-me-up experience with the peppermint, especially if they put a drop on their finger and then put their finger on the top of the roof of their mouth, and it can be a very pick-me-up experience. It's very potent, and it's good for the breath and all kinds of things like that. But if you've got a long drive and you're feeling a little sleepy, we've had people swear by that. So peppermint is a favorite. So I thought, well, I wonder what else might do something. So I don't know if I can say this.
So we got the book.
We did.
We got the desk reference of oil usage.
Yes, if you're interested in that, we can tell you how to.
We can steer you in that direction.
Yeah.
So many great ideas with that.
Do you know if it's okay if I say this this word this word? Can I say that?
I think so.
Okay. This has to do with there are a lot of reasons why people can get night sweats, but it's not uncommon to get night sweats, and also I've not experienced the hot flashes during the daytime, but a lot of people have experienced those too, women basically, but men also can get night sweats. But I was having a terrible time with night sweats, and I wasn't a very pleasant person to be sleeping with. She is so sweet, but I was having a terrible time with it, and my doctor had told me, there is something I could take, but I wasn't really crazy about it because I've heard about some of the things that you can take for hormone support that can have some really nasty side effects like cancer, and some things like that. So I wasn't too. I just thought, well, I'm gonna live with this because I'm not gonna take anything. But I found a blend called Dragon Time, and
such an unfortunate name.
Yeah, I can't remember now what all is in it, but that little bottle's a miracle. And I have shared that bottle with 3 or 4 of my friends who are all kind of in the same situation, and I think it has worked for all of them. It was amazing, and it started working pretty right away for me. I don't remember if it took a couple nights or not, but I can say that it has nearly disappeared. Most of the time it disappears. Once in a while I'll have an issue with it, but not nearly as bad, unless there are those nights where I'm too lazy and tired and I forget to actually, the Dragon Time, I put on the side of my foot. It's the inside, well, actually the inside or outside of your foot, you can put it on, but I rub a drop on each foot each night before I go to bed. And if I forget it, I'm probably in for some soggy times. But anyway,
she's not kidding.
It'd be nice. But I love Dragon Time, and the stuff really works, and it's science. It's not voodoo. It's not weird stuff at all. I think it's the kind of thing that God put on the earth to help us, and science has been trying to recreate it, but when they recreate it, they tend to do things that cause it to help some, but then there's the side effects that aren't so helpful. I have had no side effects with any essential oil that I've used. None, no side effects. Another really great thing that I use, it's a blend called Progessence Plus. That's in the hormone, and I think Progessence Plus is just for women, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the oils are, for both, but I think Progessence Plus is just for women. It is a serum, so there are essential oils in it, but there's also natural wild yam in it, and it's an amazing. It's kind of like can I say it's a substitute for?
Yeah.
No, I better not.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably hold off on it.
Okay, I won't say that. Anyway, I would
It's
recommend
a substitute
it.
for something that's dangerous.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not dangerous. There is nothing dangerous about wild yam.
No.
but it's also in liquid form. I put it on. You don't take it orally. Most of the oils you can actually take orally, but not Progessence Plus. But I put it on my skin, a couple drops a day, and it keeps me. It makes me more like I want to be. It just keeps me. It just brings me down a little on the calm scale, I guess, and not so bothered by things. A little less witchy, maybe I could say. But there are also some other side benefits from Progessence Plus that I don't want to go into on here because
we have another class on that.
That's really for women only. But if there are some things that are not satisfying you in your life, you might want to read up on Progessence Plus.
Yeah.
It's done some really nice things in my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you appreciate that too, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then I just think the last one I'm going to talk about, and I'm talking about these because they're some of my regulars, and I have a lot of regular oils that I use, but Valor is another one that it's a blend of essential oils, and I started to use it when I would go into a meeting that I felt not very confident. It gave me a boost of confidence and helped I'd say it helped the focus a little bit. I don't know that it's really full focus, but for me, the main thing was a boost of confidence, so I felt calmer going into a meeting. But I think the calmness kind of has a side effect of helping me focus better too, because I'm not so full of anxiety, I guess.
Tense.
So yeah. So those are kind of my regulars, but this conservative mainstream person that doesn't mess with weird things much, I am a believer, and there is a science behind it. There's things I've never heard of. I didn't take chemistry. I didn't have to take chemistry. I was a business major. I had no interest in chemistry. Now I think it's fascinating because we are learning about these things called terpenes and monoterpenes and
sesquiterpenes.
That's a fun one. Sesquiterpenes.
The blood-brain barrier, D-limonene, all these fantastic.
It's what these things are made up of, and they all do different things. And the science explains a lot about why they really work.
Mm-hmm. And the reason Young Living products work so well is because they are 100% pure. There are no synthetics, no additives. It's not watered down. It's not diluted. It's not thinned. It has no chemical fragrance added, which I don't think a lot of essential oil companies can honestly say that.
No, they test and test and test. They have independent testers because they want the makeup to be, the smell might not be the same from time to time because plants are different from season to season, but the chemical constituencies all have to be at a certain level, and if it doesn't meet the levels that Young Living requires, then they're not going to use that batch. They're not going to put it, they're not going to bottle it and sell it.
And you know what happens to that batch that doesn't get accepted by Young Living? Some other oil company buys it and uses it and thins it out even more. So not only are you not getting the best oil, you're getting subpar oil that's thinned out and watered out and diluted with alcohol or whatever. It's not good.
Yeah.
So
if you buy an $8 bottle of oil at the grocery store or pharmacy or drugstore, Walmart, Rite Aid, anywhere, you can find very inexpensive essential oils, and they'll say they're pure, but they can say that if there's as little as
like 5%.
I've heard from 3 to 5, but we'll be on the safe side and say as little as 5% of true, pure essential oil in it. The rest can be fillers, and I'm sure some are better than others, but ours is 100% pure. They're made to be therapeutic. They're made to work. So they're not just made for nice smell. Some of them smell really nice. Some of them don't smell so nice, but they still work.
They don't work. Yeah.
they work. So we put up with a couple. The majority of them
Mhm.
smell very
Well,
nice.
look at peppermint as an example. Peppermint with Young Living doesn't smell like peppermint candy. It doesn't smell like a candy cane because it's natural peppermint oil, 100% pure natural peppermint oil. If you smell a peppermint plant, you're not going to say, candy cane. No. No. So if you open up a bottle of that $4.99 peppermint oil you got at your, Safeway or Hy-Vee or Kroger or whatever you shop, if you open that up and it's like, oh, it smells just like Christmas, it's not real oil. It's full of synthetics. It's full of fragrance, which is a term that companies can use to get away with what they call trade secrets, which are usually toxins and things like that to add aroma to it. Well, no, if your peppermint oil smells like a candy cane, it's not real peppermint oil.
And the nice thing too is that with the essential oils, in most cases, 1 or 2 drops is all you need for a, we're not supposed to treat things, but it's all you need to
at a time
get some results. It's very, very potent.
Yeah.
And
well, like at the beginning of class, I put 1 or 2, actually I put 2 drops of Valor on my finger, rubbed it into the brainstem. I took 1 drop of white angelica, rubbed it on my forehead and temples and crown and stuff. That's all it took. That's all it took.
Should we let people get on to do whatever they want to do?
I think we should let people
research
go
some
on with their
essential
Monday.
oils.
But if you have any questions about essential oils, if you have any questions about Young Living or any of the things we've talked about today, please contact us. You can do that. Just leave a note on the Soaring Hawk Essential Oils Information Station page. That's where these videos are held.
And send an email.
You can send us an email at soaringhawk.eo@comcast.net. And again,
Soaring Hawk, all one word. Soaring Hawk, period, EO
at comcast.net. So that's how you can get in touch with us if you are curious about oils. If you are already a Young Living member, fantastic. We are so glad that you are watching this video. And feel free to share it with people you know and love, and people who may be as stubborn as we were at first. Maybe this will help break the ice and show people that they shouldn't be stubborn. They need to open their eyes, open their minds, open their hearts, and try the oils. Try them. They only work if you use them. They don't work when they're sitting on a shelf.
That's the occasional night when I don't get any results.
Nope.
Because I didn't use anything.
Now, personally, I should have a little note beside, on my side of the bed saying, ask Lori
All right,
if
it's
she's
time
used the
to
oils.
wrap it up now. Thank you for spending part of your evening with us, or day if you're watching this later.
Yep, whenever you're watching this, leave a comment. Let us know where you're watching from, and if you're part of Young Living or not. And also, our next session is in 2 weeks. I know it was originally scheduled for next week, but we had a scheduling conflict come up. So in 2 weeks, we will be talking about something else. So, so that's going to be one. Actually, we're going to be talking about diffuser care. So, how to maintain the best use of your diffuser. So with that, hope you have a wonderful night and a wonderful day, or whenever you're watching this. And we hope to see you next time.
Goodbye.
And as we always say, take care. God bless.